the second and third reading. I did have a couple of questions here I was asked to read for the meeting. It was from Ms. Lori Moff, who was in attendance last week. She has some questions on understanding if it was at the airport. We may not have mentioned that at the last meeting, but the meeting when we was talking about where we were going to have it, we did mention the airport. I do apologize for not stating that again, but it is at the airport. The airport will need to be closed. The airport board has authority to do so. The FFA doesn't require anything, but they just have to submit it and they can close it. And the airport board is on board with everything, so they can handle it all, take care of it. So there won't be any need for a backup facility because it'll all be at the airport. She was asking about parking, will there be adequate parking? We've got roughly 175 to 2 acres that we can utilize for parking, so there's plenty of parking around there. She asked about camping, where that would be, if there's enough site. I think we got around 10 acres reserved for tent camping, and then we got around 3 acres reserved for like bus axles and stuff like that, but it's all primitive camping. There isn't any electric or anything like that. Depending on how many we get, we'll have many showers and stuff we'll bring in. We just won't know until we get the pre-reserved amount. And then that's the camping. And then how would the reimbursement be divided with the airport and the city? Any of the problems would be split 50-50. That's how he's going to split that.
And didn't you say with the airport and the festival committee?
Well, we're going to go to the city, then we'd have to determine if we want to go to the that's not my call to make. That's the council's call to make. I'd like to see it go to the festival so we can continue to do the events, not have to come to the council every time we do this. We've done this a couple times. They've been successful every time, and then we really want to grow these things. So the goal is to get this so it's self-sustaining, so that we don't have to come to the council to ask for money, and then we can just keep growing these events every year. That is the ultimate goal, yes.
I didn't have that document in my packet. Was that, are you
It was last time.
saying the last time document was forwarded to this?
This was an email she sent to everybody on council. I'm just
No,
answering her
I'm talking
questions.
about the 3884
We got that last
last
meeting,
time.
at the
but
last meeting.
This document last time everybody got.
Yeah, I got that one.
That's it.
Okay. So when I was looking through it, I was thinking I was missing one more document.
No, that was it. So I just want to answer those questions. That way it could get answered and everyone could see the questions that were asked. So I just want to make sure I clarified on those because there was 2 different meetings. Not everyone heard the first meeting. So with that being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve pending ordinance 3884 on third reading. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Barrett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Phillips,
Yes.
Councilman Gray,
Yeah.
Councilman Collins,
Oh.
Councilman Warner.
No.
That's 3-2.
3-2. Okay, it passed. Thank you very much. Item B, approval of pending. I'm sorry.
During the third reading.
That was third reading. We
Okay.
suspend.
Yeah, that was third.
Second reading, you suspend the rules, go to third reading. Kind of weird how they word that. That's how it's kind of weird. Item B, approval of pending ordinance 3887, addition of handicap parking space. Chief Bolos.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
So I got a call from Miss Allen sometime last week requesting that she get a handicap parking space in front of her residence. It's feasible to put one there. We've also asked that she submit a letter from her doctor, and she has done so. So I'm requesting that we grant her a handicap spot in front of her house.
And this was approved by the Board of Works
Earlier,
earlier
yep.
today. Yep.
So the Board of Works approved it pending council approval.
Right.
Anybody have any questions for Chief? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve pending ordinance 3887 on first reading.
So, second.
Have a motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Have a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. We have a motion for a third and final reading.
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item C, just stay up here for a second, might need you. Approving pending ordinance 3888 to removal of a 15-minute parking space on Western Avenue and 8th, and just gonna make it a regular, there's two 15-minute parking spaces. We're just going to eliminate the 15-minute and keep them regular parking spaces. So the Board of Works approved that for your recommendation as well. Anybody has any questions on it? We have some information here, but I think everyone got the information.
I have a question with the picture that I got. There's a no parking sign any time on that same side.
Yep. That's the curve leading up to it.
Yeah, there's no parking just on a curve.
It's painted yellow. There's a real sharp curve there. It's painted.
Notice that
The other two's on a straightaway, and there's room to pass.
usually on that, no parking sign's usually before that, am I not correct?
Before, what now?
Isn't it before the no parking zone?
Yeah, it's before that, where the sign is, it's right on that curve, as you
No,
know.
not to interrupt, but what I mean is the sign prior to the no parking zone. Am I looking at this wrong?
Are you looking at the other two signs on there?
Yeah, I see what we want to remove, and I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, there's just on
I
the
know
corner
what
where
you're
you
talking
can't.
about. He's
Yeah.
talking about the placement of no parking sign, and I'm assuming it's because of the location of the curve, but I would have to double check that.
Okay.
I don't know how
It
close
is.
the curve that sign could be.
Yeah, I mean, it is just because of the curve where that no parking is.
I think I noticed that it's yellow, but, it's kind of dirty, but that's neither here nor there. I think the sign needs to be moved back. What's your take on this?
Are you saying this sign right here needs to be,
Prior to
At the start of the curve?
Prior to the offense.
right?
What, you're,
Yeah, but usually they're at the start of where you can no park.
that's what I mean.
Well, isn't that where this is at?
It's
No,
the
it's
end.
kind of
It's at the
Yeah.
end.
And
Yeah,
I'll have
it
to
would
look at,
make,
we'll have to look at the MUTC standard on how
Yeah.
close that sign could be to the curve.
but it is marked yellow.
I get that, but, let's do it right.
I get what you're saying. I mean, I think it'd be,
Generally, a no parking sign is at the beginning of the.
Correct.
at the start, that way they know.
Thanks for
So-
clarifying.
But the 15-minute is, we'll
Thoughts
just take that
anyway.
out.
No, we'll have them look at that standard, make sure it's right.
Because it really don't make sense to have it there. Because it's like telling you can't park where we've allowed them to park.
Yeah, I don't know how
Manner
long
of
that's
speaking.
been in there. It's been in there quite a few years.
Well, 100 years.
Yeah, and I'm assuming
No, not that long.
when you have the two 15-minute signs right there next to it, people understood, but now if you remove those, it might be a little confusing. So we'll make sure we can meet the standard on that, close to the curb.
I think it only makes good sense. I'm all for that. So.
Any other questions on removing the 15-minute, making them regular? If not, entertain a motion to approve putting ordinance 3888 on first reading.
So,
Motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Have a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion.
second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Have a motion for a third and final reading. Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item D, approval of resolutions 2023-18 through 25, IC code transfers. Rosemary.
Resolution 2023-18 is a resolution to transfer $50,000 from the police vehicle line into the police non-reverting. Resolution 2023-19 is a resolution to transfer $61,802 from the DOT other equipment line into the DOT MVH non-reverting fund. Resolution 2023-20 is a resolution to transfer $1,000 from landfill other equipment into the landfill other non-reverting fund. Resolution 2023-21 is a resolution to transfer $37,500 from MVH other equipment into the DOT MVH non-reverting. Resolution 2023-22 is a resolution to transfer $15,000 from park mower into the park non-reverting fund. Resolution 2023-23 is a resolution to transfer $20,000 of park other equipment into the park non-reverting fund.
Questions for Rosemary?
Yes.
I have
Shouldn't this be 1,000?
Yes.
It's only 20.
I have a question, if you know, the 15,000, is that for a mower?
It is, well, the Board of Works approved them buying a mower last meetings, and she purchased it. So, but what we do is we appropriate these two lines, we take it to the non-reverting and pay it out of there, so that way the $435 that's left over is there for them to use it to either repair it or go towards the next mower they need.
Okay. Now,
And there was a typo on 23-20. In the parentheses, it should have only been $1,000. And I think I stopped at 23, so resolution 2023-24 is a resolution to transfer $100,000 from local road and street into the local road and street matching fund. 2023-25 is a resolution to transfer $275,000 from MVH restricted into the local road and street matching fund.
Questions? None, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolutions 2023-18 through 2023-25, transfers.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Item E, approval of resolutions 2023-26, fire reimbursement.
Resolution 2023-26 is a resolution to reimburse $202.34 into fire other contractual services.
A motion to approve resolution 2023-26, fire reimbursement.
So moved.
Have a motion? And a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Move on down to department reports. Chief Harden.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Get everybody when they're fresh tonight. Everyone should have a copy of my February 23 monthly report. We responded to 264 calls for service. Year to date, that's 549. In my staffing report, they still do have 2 staff off on workman's comp. However, fuel usage, we did in February, we completed our Lucas training. We had training from Stryker, who manufactures Lucas. We had them down 3 days and were able to get all the shifts through Lucas training. They're still in a trial phase. They've been deployed twice so far. Getting very positive feedback from crews, the ERs. We're getting really good data. That's one of the things with these devices is everything is recorded on them as far as data-wise, compressions and pauses and time periods and so forth and so on. Getting some really good data from them as well. Did file our recertification paperwork with the Department of Homeland Security for a 2-year renewal of our EMS certification through the state. That's really the highlights, not a lot as far as exciting stuff going on, just a lot of that sort of thing. So, do we have any questions?
would you explain the Lucas training?
What would you like to know?
It's just the broadband of the whole thing in a short sentence.
It's an automated CPR device.
That records, for the public, it records this, right?
It records what it does. So if it does chest compressions and it does 312 chest compressions, it'll show it did 312 chest compressions. What the ratio is, whether it's a continuous ratio, whether it's a 30-to-2 ratio, you can adjust that. Whether the compression depth was manually set or was it set on automatic sense. So if it determines the depth itself, which is how it's defaulted, you can change it, but it'll record that. It'll tell you how many times the pause button was hit, the duration that the pause button was hit. Any pause over 10 seconds is automatically recorded. There's like 3 to 4 pages of data that it records, and then that overlays with our cardiac monitors and that sort of thing. So we can kind of compile that data into one spot is what we're trying to do.
Okay, thank you.
They're very, very complicated devices. That's why I say if there's so many parameters in this device that it's kind of hard to put a synopsis on it. But that's basically what it's recording. It's recording that data. It's not recording video. It's not recording audio. It's just recording the data of what it does.
And that's not recording the patient, right?
No. Beth, any questions? Thank
sir.
you.
Superintendent Steele.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so some things that are going on. I do want to let you all know that we have hired a sports director. His name is Logan Newcomb, and he will start on March 27th. He comes from a background of sports. He was a triathlete at Connersville High School, and then he's also a graduate from IUPUI with a sports management degree. And so he brings a lot of energy and some excitement to our sports director position. And so we're really excited to have him on board with us. The next thing on my list is that we are still hiring for lifeguards. We're looking for 20 lifeguards, and we will be holding a certification class in April. And you have to be at least 16 years and older to be a lifeguard with us. The Kubota mower, as it was discussed earlier, we have purchased that Kubota mower, and so we should be receiving it within a couple of weeks. Everyone may have received our new park logo. We did update that, and so I just wanted everyone to know that we do have a new park logo. Easy Facility, it's a new software program that we're implementing at the park, and this is going to make things a lot easier for registration, renting our buildings, registration for sporting events. It's all going to be online, and once we get to the point, we can put it on our website, and then people can go online and register for sporting events, and then eventually they'll be able to book facilities on there as well. And so this is just going to help us manage all of our things that we do in our office. It's going to help us manage it so much easier. And so it's also going to offer an employee time clock as part of that program. So that's going to be implemented in that program. The next thing moving on is sports. So we have had soccer registration going on for about a month now. And I'm happy to say that we have over 500 kids registered for soccer, which is, I don't know, I don't know the past, but I would assume this is close to a breaking a record. So we had 506 register. So we're putting those teams together. They have been drafted, and they'll start practices soon. So we're really excited about how many people are coming out to play the sports here in town. And then we have baseball, softball, and t-ball signups still going on through March 30th. The next thing on my list is I've been talking to Connersville High School, and they're excited to be a part of some different sports. And one thing is the high school football coach, head coach, Ryan Lynch, came to me and presented an idea of flag football. And I was really excited because I had already been thinking about that anyways. And so he would love to help us partner with us to implement that flag football for the fall program for our youth. And so that's something that we will be working on this summer and getting that started. So he's really excited about that. He wants to grow the youth program so that when they get to the high school, they're ready to play football there. The next thing on my list is I am working currently with Jalissa on some grants. We're going to be looking at some grants for the Living Well, Aging Well program, and then also summer discoveries. So those are some things I'm doing. And then I put on there community involvement, just some places I've been in the last month or so speaking. I went to Rotary Club, the Healthy Fayette County meeting, and Community Voices, and I've also been meeting with Andrea Napier, the community coordinator for the HELP grant, and so we've been working on that. The last thing that I want to share with everyone is that we are having an event coming up on Thursday, April 6th, and this is our Brownies and Bunnies event. It's open to the public, free of charge. It's from 5 to 7. And we're partnering with local businesses in town. It is Prevent Child Abuse Awareness Month, and so we are partnering with quite a bit of organizations this year that are going to have booths. And so we will have, we have a beautiful backdrop that's been donated, and the Easter Bunny will be there. And so Channel 3 is going to be there taking pictures and live videos just like they did at Christmas time. And then we will have activities, crafts, a brownie walk, and then the Food Council will be doing a cooking show and handing out food. So it's going to be a great event. We're expecting over 500 kids to come to this event.
I'm excited that Coach Lynch is going to be doing the football. I know I'm going to date him. He's going to feel old for me saying this, but the graduating class this year with a successful football season was one of the first flag football teams Coach Lynch actually helped start many moons ago. But that's the result of getting in early and starting that sports program when they're young, just to teach those fundamentals. And I'm excited to see this happening, so good job. Thank you on that.
We're really excited about that. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Chief Jones.
Good evening. Everyone should have a copy of my February report. We'll start off with the overtime. For February, $1,329.57. All of that total was FLSA overtime. I didn't have any call-in overtime. If you go clear over to the right where the totals are at, you can compare the running totals this year versus the last 2 years. You can see we're doing pretty good so far this year. I got everybody healthy and things are going well, so that's a good thing. Moving down to fuel usage, I had 348 gallons used of fuel in February for a total of $1,364.31. Moving on down to incidents for the month of February, we had a total of 128 total incidents. 30 of those were fire related, 93 were EMS related, and we had 5 auto accidents. It gives us a total for the year of 279 incidents. Training hours for February, we had a total of 70 instructed hours. 40 of those hours were fire-related training, and 30 of those hours were EMS-related training. Moving on down to inspections, I had 30 total inspections for the month. A few of those were re-inspections. And then we had 6 hours of fire investigation total. And then following that, you'll see the standard detailed reports for each of those categories. You can view whenever you feel like viewing those. I'm not going to go over all those. One other thing that I'd like to note, last week we did training with CSX, which is, for anybody that doesn't know, it's the railroad that runs through town. We had 3 scheduled. They had to reschedule one. I'd like to get all 3 of my shifts to take any kind of major training like that. We originally had it scheduled in 2020. We had a pretty large diesel fuel spill on one of their engines on the east side of town, and after that I got with some of their representatives and asked for training. And they agreed to do that, and no sooner than we were going to schedule it, COVID hit, so that pretty much stopped training for, you know, a good 2 or 3 years, and you can't train on train incidents very well over a computer. So I reached back out to them. Obviously, everybody knows we had the big incident in Ohio, so that's been on the news a lot. So I reached back out. They, was happy to come do training. They remembered when I reached out to them before. Had a district gentleman from, I think, the whole Midwest, eastern portion. He said he was in Maine, I believe, the week before, come down, did our training. It was excellent training. We learned a lot. I invited, not only was it the fire department, I had police, EMS, the mayor came, the EMA director came. I had a couple gentlemen from the utilities that came. Obviously, something happens, on the rail. It could happen close to the river, anywhere really. I mean, we've got storm drains to protect, so really it's going to affect, all departments if we have something, large scale like that. But we did learn a lot. He taught us, a lot of things to look for, gave us a lot of utilities to use to when, something like that happens, and how to figure things out quick. And then basically we got to take all those tools and, decide how we're all going to work together if something like that happens. So that's something where all the departments are going to sit down and come up with some plans. Obviously, you can't, it's tough to plan for an incident like that, but you do the best you can, and then you just have to adapt when something happens. So we appreciate that training. That was very good training. Like I said, we have one more that we have to schedule for one of the other shifts, but it was really good. So touching back on the last meeting, when I brought to you the equipment, I was going to give you a little update on that. Mr. Warner asked me to get some quotes, some additional quotes, and he did send me some information on some other dealers, a couple Ford dealers, and I did reach back out to him. I just wanted to update the council that every answer I pretty much got was that the bidding process for fleet vehicles, for government sales fleet vehicles, has already closed and may or may not open back up sometime this summer, and nobody has received any pricing for if that period opens back up. So that being said, I did get a email from Reedman's, and he asked me how things were going, and he said, well, I just so happened to reserve a spot for you just in case you do need to purchase that truck, so that still is an option. So I know the period for advertising has not expired yet, so we can't do anything until next meeting on that. So I want to give everybody an update on that.
So is there any special equipment for rail problems that you know of?
For the most part, we're somewhat limited on a large scale event like that.
Absolutely.
We've got equipment to deal with small spills. We've obviously been on several spills that's, involved, tractor trailers. We did have a larger spill out on 44, if you remember, a few years ago where the tanker rolled over. We can handle small spills. I'm going to say that our initial reaction and response on a large spill like that would obviously be to protect the public, probably do some evacuation, and then, try to protect, infrastructure after that, whether it be buildings, sewers, rivers. Obviously, like I said, they gave us the tools to call in, the people that really know what they're doing, so.
The numbers?
Yes, and for the most part, they can be here in probably about an hour. So the initial hour is going to be on us, to coordinate with all the other departments to figure out, what we really need to do. Obviously, we need to protect the public, get them, if we need to evacuate, that's the most important thing, depending on what happens, so.
The truck, Raymond's quote, was that I don't recall, was that a state bid price?
Yes. Like I said, when I brought you the information last meeting, I think I got a total of 5 quotes from different Dodge dealers. And they are pretty close. Reedman's happened to be maybe a few $100s lower than, they were the lowest bid by maybe a few $100s. And like I said, he just happened to reach out to me and ask me, how things were going, and I said that I was going to get some more bids, and I believe I talked to you since then.
Right.
And he did say that he went ahead, the bidding period was closing, so he did reserve a truck if need be. He said if we take it, fine. If we don't, fine. But
Well,
and that was good. That was good of him to do that, really. I think
Absolutely.
Right.
so. I did appreciate that.
So
I appreciate you checking. also.
Yep, no
that's a
problem.
plus of being local.
Yes,
Locals
yes,
go ahead
and
and do something
they
like that.
they did happen to be the lowest bid, so.
Right.
Were you able to check to keep the other equipment at the price?
The SCBA's unfortunately are going, I called the 3M Scott rep, which is the maker of the SCBA's. It's not the dealer that we get them from, but I called him today and just to see if there was any way that we could maybe order them on the 4th instead of the 1st, because that would be after the next meeting, and he said that they won't budge on the price increase, so
So when is the new price effective?
April 1st.
So we could ask the council to approve you purchasing those right now, tomorrow, based on
Approval of the appropriations,
the additional appropriation of the ARPA funds
If-
on the next meeting.
if that's a possibility. I mean, it would save us probably $9,000, but my initial, I was thinking that the advertisement period was 10 days, and it was 15 days, so obviously it didn't make tonight's meeting. I think we still have, what, a day or two?
It requires 15 days, and there's no way I can put that advertisement in the newspaper the day of the meeting.
Right, so.
So
right.
it'll always be,
2 meetings
2 meetings
beyond.
out.
Right, so I don't, and I'm not sure if that's a possibility of approving me to go ahead and order prior to April 1st pending the funds. I mean, like I said, it's going to be probably about a $9,000 increase on April 1st. And if I'd known of the increase. Yeah, the increase, yeah, I mean, things are increasing, it seems like every other month anymore, so.
I mean, they won't be in
No,
before then.
they're
but-
about 6 months out,
But it would save us $9,000 if you have the council's approval to go ahead and order
correct?
tomorrow.
Can we do that with other?
Yes, you can make the motion, and
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign?
Well,
There you
I
go.
appreciate that. I wasn't sure we could do it that way, so.
I wouldn't
We
either.
appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
Good call.
Chief Willows.
All right, everybody has a copy of the February's monthly report. Our overtime staying the same month to month, and averages out to be the same for the past 4 or so years. The gallons of fuel is about staying the same also. It's at about 1,900 gallons of fuel. Everybody has our incident reports. I just want to highlight that we have 294 traffic incidents. The guys are really staying on traffic stops, and a lot of drug interdiction. We ended up in February with a little over 1,000 calls. Any questions on that so far? Also, earlier today at the Board of Works, I requested to promote another detective. So last year in April, Detective Rosser came out, and this is an open position, and it wasn't filled last year. I didn't replace him because of the manpower issues that we had. At that point, we were 4 down and eventually 5 down. So I didn't replace that third detective. We are getting to be full staff. That was the intentions all along, to replace him when I got back to full staff, and we're about a month out from getting there. So I requested them, Board of Works, and they approved to replace him earlier today. Training hours for February was a pretty big training month. We had 264 hours of training. 4 officers attended the Indiana DEA conference. It was a 3-day school. A lot of good information there at those schools, several good topics. Also, I want to let you know that we replaced Detective Sherwood, who's coming out April 1st, back to patrol with Officer Jeremy Wilson. He started last Monday on the detective division, and last week I sent him to investigation school right off the bat. So he's familiarizing with the detectives and their cases this week. We have Officer Ammerman at K-9 school up at Vaughn Lake right now, and he gets out the third Friday of April. And we also have Officer Leon at ILEA still. He gets out the same day, so the third week we'll be at full staff. Can't wait for that. K-9 training was 20 hours, and they did one demo at the middle school. Also, we had 22 incidents involving drugs in February. We took 240 grams of marijuana, 5 grams of heroin, 77 grams of meth, and 26 grams of fentanyl. 15 paraphernalia incidents, 20 of those were syringes. And to keep everybody up to date on the transient peddlers ordinance, we finally got it, everything to go online. Safe hiring is our background check. We've completed everything we need to complete where whoever the vendor is, they'll just go online, click on safe hiring, answer what they need to, and make the payment there. So we're not taking any money into the police department. And then the results come back to us when they is completed, and we'll issue them their certificate if they pass it or whatnot, or if they don't, then they don't get one. So that's all set up, and I believe John's gonna make sure all that's on the website, city website. So, let's see. Also for information, for the replacement of captain fee this week, we're doing captain interviews to decide who's going to take his place, and shortly after that we are going to be in the hiring process to replace him on the police department. One last thing, I've been working with Mary, Rosemary, and Adam. We're finalizing some quotes on vehicles. We have got a couple quotes in. We're going to take a look at them as a group and make a good decision there. Prior to that, I'll make sure everybody knows what we decide on. So we're in the process with that. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Director Coulter.
Howdy.
Well,
Okay, we'll talk about the utilities report. Mike's sick, by the way, so I'll be giving all the reports tonight. I wanted to update you on our digester project. We did a digester project in 2017 through 19 to make our digesters aerobic instead of anaerobic, which means they're fed a lot of air from the bottom up. And the way they designed them, it turned out that the piping and everything in the bottom got too hot and it overheated and started melting everything. So we had to put in a cooling loop in that, and it's been a couple of years coming up with the right solution to that. And so if you ever have been down there, you know that we have 3 big blowers, roots blowers, and those things get so warm, and it was just such a close proximity to the tanks that it would get hot. So now it has to we call it a whoop-de-doo. It kind of goes through a whoop-de-doo and it cools off before it hits those pods. So that project is supposed to start up, is supposed to be finished on the first 2 tanks on Thursday. So we're going to do a startup and hopefully that whole thing before it starts. It only does it in hot weather, so we're trying to get it done before summer. I don't remember if I reported it to you guys, but we had a resignation at the wastewater plant. Aaron Johnson left and went to Columbus to take a new opportunity for her. So we've been juggling a little bit. Mike is going to the wastewater plant, and he's going to pretty much be down there all the time for probably any number of months until we get somebody hired and trained, and trying in the short term to transfer her knowledge to him, and then he can transfer some of that to the new person when they come. Hoping we can find somebody that can just hit the ground running, that will be able to step right into the job, but we'll see. Our 9th Street water plant, it's back online. It's been down about a year or two. You've probably heard me talk about over the last year that we were doing some, I won't call it an upgrade, but stabilization efforts over there. We put in one good pump. We had to redo all the electrical equipment to be able to put a VFD, a variable drive pump in over there. And so now we have one good pump where that station is pretty good booster if we need it, if we ever have a big fire or something. So them guys just did all the testing and got that thing back online. So once a week we'll run that, and then anytime we have a fire or something, we can always kick it on for a little extra pressure if we need it, or if we had a boost in usage where we needed to turn it on, we could. So the last thing, John, do you have that picture of the Headworks by any chance? The big hole? Our Headworks project is continuing to pour all of the, I'll show you one of these pictures probably once a month or so. So you can see how it's coming along. They're starting to pour all the floors. Eventually there'll be a building sitting on top of that, and that is the sub-basement that they're working on right now, and that's where the screening equipment and the pumps will go. I was telling everybody today, it looks like our dewatering is going to be less risky than we originally thought it was going to be, because now we're pumping quite a bit less water. I showed the Board of Works today. I'll tell you guys, all around the perimeter of this hole is pumps. And all those pumps, there's about 9 of them, and all those pumps were pumping about 4 million gallons altogether. And now they're down to pumping somewhere maybe around 1 million. I have to obtain a sort of a unique measuring device so that we can measure exactly what our flow rate is that we're pumping out of there right now. But the good news is we're pumping a lot less. That'll make it less chance that we pull those chemicals over into our site. And the better news is if we do, then we'll be able to pump those chemicals right over to the plant. If we were still dewatering 4 million gallons, that flow would be a little too much to put on the plant day in and day out. But at 1 million or 2 gallons, we could easily handle it. So if we do get into those chemicals from next door, we can pump those through our plant and isolate those and treat them. And that'll be a cheaper and a more, not only cost-effective, but safer method. I wanted to tell you about we're going to open the compost site back up on April 1st. Everybody's been itching for us to get that done. We've got, we started a couple of weeks ago picking up the 1-item heavy trash pickup. I wanted to let everybody know that on Earth Week, I'm supposed to meet with my environmental assistant tomorrow, and we'll get all this spelled out, but either the week prior to Earth Day on the 22nd or the week after, we're going to pick up one item of heavy trash each day, so that we can, spring cleaning time might help people get rid of some junk around the house, and maybe even out in the yards and on the porches. So that'll be either leading up to April 22nd or following, but I'll get those details out here pretty quick. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is that you might have noticed on Facebook that I started a topic about recycling this past week. Just mainly wanted to get everybody's feelings on the price point. We set in ordinance when we raised the trash fees that it would cost people $7 a month to have curbside recycling picked up when we re-implement it, and that they would have to pay a deposit on the tote, which is $75. So I just kind of wanted to get that out there and see what kind of reception those numbers got, and it got varied responses, but quite a few people said just simply yes, that they would like it. But then, others thought that was too much, and some others misunderstood and thought we were trying to charge $75 a month to pick up recycling. And so if and when we get that going again, we'll have to, educate everybody to what the deal is. So kind of wanted to bring that up and see if anybody had any thoughts on it. Trash committee has been talking. We're gonna meet again and try to come up with some solutions, and then we'll be reporting to you about it. Anybody got any questions about any of the reports?
I have a couple. The pine trees that was cut down, where was that at?
Where are you reading that?
Monthly Street Department.
Blocking,
Dead end of 21st Street.
Yeah, there was a pine tree in front of a stop sign that we cut down.
Over there by,
One pine tree.
it was over there by, I believe it's Shomel's house. Can't remember the street
It
now.
was at 21st and Ohio.
Is there anything being done with those trees? His trees?
Who's?
Shomel's trees up there
I don't know anything about that.
on Lincoln.
Haven't heard anything.
There was some people complaining about they couldn't see coming down there because they were blocking the street and stuff. So,
where on Lincoln?
On 22nd in Lincoln, that's
I want to say that's where his house is.
where it goes up the steep
Go
hill.
up the hill, it's 22nd, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where he lives, but I haven't heard any complaints about that. At
It's Earl
least
Drive
they didn't get to me.
that goes
I
in.
don't know anything.
When I seen that, I thought maybe that was it, but
No, this was back in that little dead end by Glenn's Barber Shop, back there. There was a big old, it wasn't really a pine tree, it was one of those big old ugly bushes that kind of grow straight up. But it was blocking the sign, there wasn't anything else we could do.
Arborvitae?
Is that what they're called?
Depends, but probably.
Yeah.
What most people call bushy pines or arborvitae.
the other question I have is the next door. Is there something down here? Is there something we're going to have to do with that eventually to clean up your next door to your headworks?
Oh, on the
Yeah.
park? I don't know. I think, it's my opinion, we should have a big conversation about that after we get finished and see what everybody thinks. You know, see, when we get done, we probably test all those monitoring wells on that site and see what the residual chemicals and everything that are left there, and just put the information out and let people, not only people, but all of you and the park board and everybody decide how they feel about it. It's,
I don't know if you've been getting them, but I've been getting a whole herd of questions on that.
well, a lot of people are upset that it's closed, but I think that it would be unsafe for us to have it open while all this is going on. And I would just rather put the information out there and let people understand what they're dealing with if they go down there. And it may be entirely safe, but I feel like it needs to be talked about amongst the leaders of the city and decide what to do with it when this is all done.
Now, we're still testing the water, correct?
Yep, we test some things every day. We test the monitoring wells over there that we put in that are in the path of travel of the flow of the water once a week. Well, we have been doing it every 2 weeks, but we decided that as we got closer to the predicted chemicals starting to move, we'd start once a week, and that started last week. So we're being very vigilant, and like I said, the fact that we're pumping a lot less dewatering makes it much less chance of it being unsafe, but until August, when this dewatering ends, we'll be keeping a really close eye on it.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Brad, real quick, is there some other, we can go get somebody to go over there where they're doing that and clean up the curb? That you got the curb actually coming up.
Where you at?
Western.
8th and Western.
Yeah, 8th and Western. The curb itself, I'm not really necessarily worried about mainly just the curb that's actually popping up and coming out into the roadway.
That piece of concrete, I don't think it's part of the curb. I was over there today.
Well, whatever it is, it's in the roadway.
I think it's just a fall off from somebody's vehicle.
I'll get somebody over there to look at it tomorrow.
Appreciate it.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Director Paulson.
For the month of February, we had 9 hours, 9 minutes of meeting production, 14 hours, 40 minutes of original production. We are working on a new show, which just premiered last week, the TV3 Center Stage, which features regional artists. They come into the studio and we produce a show. It usually runs about 45 minutes to an hour. And the nice thing about that is that it creates a kind of a catalog of artists that we can call upon to maybe perform locally here when we get the Market Street Plaza built. So that'll be nice to have that. And these are new eager artists that are wanting, some notice, and this helps them get that out there. So it's kind of a nice trade-off for them. That airs, by the way, Monday through Wednesday at 9 p.m., Saturday at 2 p.m. Last thing is, of course, we have the mayor candidate debate that will be this Friday at 6 p.m. at the Miller Center, and that will be live on TV3 Cable and YouTube. Any questions?
Sure.
Is public welcome?
Yes, there will be limited seating there, but yes, that'll be in the banquet hall. So, thank you.
We went down to old business. Is there any old business?
I have, the only thing I have, Mayor, is the 911 advisory board meeting is the same situation. They keep training people, and then they keep losing people because of finances, as you know. I guess the director's been working quite a bit more hours than what to normally allow people to work, but to fill the spots, and they're wearing their part-time people out. They just recently lost another communication officer to Rushville. It seems like everybody pays more than this communication center does. I'll just put it that way. They're trying to get some radios through the emergency management and a grant for different departments, and we're gonna have to see how that goes. That's all I have with that.
Any other old business? Miscellaneous business. Public. Anybody out there? Nope. Okay, take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Have a good evening.